Have you lost that love and feeling for your spouse? Well, if so, you might need to fight together to get it back.
Jason Benham is half of the well-known real estate duo, the Benham brothers. He and his better half, Tori, are a team committed to strengthening marriages. The Benhams have learned from personal experience what tears couples apart and erodes their love for one another. In a new book, Beauty in Battle, Jason and Tori explain why fighting in marriage is a good thing.
Well, please welcome to the 700 Club, Jason and Tori Benham. It's great to have you both here.
So great to be here.
I want to start with you, Jason, and ask you why fighting is a good thing for a couple.
Well, just think about the garden. In the garden, when God created Adam, he put him in the context of a fight because he put him in a garden where he had just banished his arch enemy, Satan. And then he gives Adam the one thing that he needs to fight that battle, and it was a bride. So our marriages were made for a fight. And we discover that when you fight together, it draws you together. And that's a principle I think that we've forgotten in marriage. Well,
one of the ways that you all were drawn together was through going to, we don't all have to do this, but CrossFit.
Right.
So you began to work out together. Tori, why was that beneficial?
It was honestly a light bulb moment for us as we were working out together. We do team WODs on Saturdays, and Saturday after Saturday, we began to win these workouts together. It's a competitive.
So you were a team again.
We were a team, yeah. And one of those days on the way home, we just began to discuss, what is it? Like, what is it about CrossFit that we can talk to each other the way that we do, and we're on the same page, and we're working towards the same goal, but then we get home, and, you know, we're winning in CrossFit where we're losing at home? Like, this is just, this doesn't make sense. And so the Lord really used the sport of CrossFit for us to begin to strategize on how to win in our home. And it was really the same strategies that we were using in CrossFit.
So talk a little bit about how you took those strategies and moved them into your everyday relationship at home. Once you made the discovery Tori's talking about, how did you connect that?
Well, so we'd be at CrossFit, we'd be on the same team, and she said we do WODs together. That means workout of the day. And so everybody does these workouts together, and we'd be on the same team. And the next thing we'd realize, we're moving toward a goal to try to win the workout against other couples that are competing. We're barking at each other, and we're doing all these things, and because we want to win. And at the end, we're exhausted, tired, but we're like, wow, I feel so connected to you right now. Like, this is great. And it's just a principle that suffering together draws people together. It happened at 9/11. When the World Trade Center came down. We saw Boston Red Sox fans actually started liking New York Yankees fans. Republicans and Democrats, they dropped their differences and they started collaborating. Why? Because fighting together draws you together. And if it works like that in CrossFit or in a terrorist attack, it can work like that in marriage. We just have to learn to leverage it.
Well, and the Bible has a lot to say about the power of unity. You know, you also say in your book, Beauty in Battle, that it isn't really about your relationship with each other. It's about your individual relationship with Jesus. Talk about that a little bit.
That's exactly right. Well, if you think about a triangle where God is at the top and the husband and wife are here on either side, the closer each person draws to God, the closer that they get to each other. Your relationship, ultimately, you know, our relationship is not about me and Tori. It's about her and Jesus and me and Jesus. This marriage relationship is an opportunity to live and love like him. And if we see it that way, it's going to open up purpose in your relationship. So you'll realize, yeah, when we do, you know, experience conflict and things get tough, that so long as we keep that purpose, that big picture out there, it's going to draw us closer together, and we're living proof of how that works.
Well, Tori, talk a little bit about the struggle you had when Jason would travel, because I don't think that's unusual. You know, when we're dating each other, I mean, we're going to good restaurants, we're having fun activities, and then life begins to happen, and it's a lot more mundane than the excitement of that. And you really felt like you were left behind in the process.
I think that a lot of times in relationships, we look for coping strategies to deal with the pain. And so there was a season in our life where Jason was traveling a lot and I was home with the kids a lot. And I felt myself really, you know, putting a wedge between Jason and I because of the pain that I was feeling during that season. But what I was doing is I was separating myself from my greatest ally, from the person I needed most. I had this tendency to push him away, and it really became a problem. And the Lord really began to show you how my thinking was the culprit of that problem. And I had begun to think about Jason in a very negative way, and it was causing this rift in our relationship. And so the Lord had to really show me the power of renewal, and it really changed our marriage for the better.
Well, it really requires both of you to think selflessly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, really, selfishness is
She needed to go first, and then I was the second. But you know what we discovered from that was a very simple 3-step process that can help anybody who's watching this right now, that they may be in a situation where negative thinking has come in about your spouse that's led to contemptuous feelings towards your spouse. If you follow a 3-step plan, it's so simple. We call it the 3 R's: recognize, renounce, replace. Recognize those negative thoughts and how destructive they are. Renounce the lies behind those thoughts and replace it with the truth of God's word and with the truth of what your marriage was intended to be, and you will overcome those negative thoughts towards your spouse, and you'll end up drawing close together as a result.
Yeah. And there were things that you learned as well, Tori, that you kind of put into your own thought process at that time.
Yeah.
That were also about aligning things.
Exactly. Yeah, it was these 3 steps that the Lord opened up in Matthew, and it was actually during a sermon that Jason was giving at church.
God
he just happened to be
listening.
speaking, and I was like, you know, the person that I'm most upset with and I'm taking this out on is now feeding me truth that I need so desperately, and those 3 steps were just pivotal.
Yeah. How important was it to be in the Word during your restructuring and re-understanding all of this? Because we are selfish, and we do like to think the other person's at fault, and that somehow we've been wronged. How did God work in your heart, Tori, to make you adjust your thinking?
Yeah, he you know, it was so interesting how it's so in the moment, right? We become so focused on what we're focused on. Yeah. And what the Lord had to show me that was not what was true. And the truth will set you free. And as I began to, I made it a practice to get into the Word every day. And that was huge for me, because as these lies were bombarding my heart and putting myself in the way of truth, he began to wash me.
I just was thinking of a quote as I looked at all of this, that, you know, love does not consist of looking toward each other, but of looking outward together in the same direction. You're on the same team when you're doing what you talk about. Beauty in Battle is the name of the book. And boy, I know so many marriages struggling today. You want to read this. Don't wait too long, because sometimes you get to the place where you don't want God to fix it anymore. And that's a hard place to come back from. So get a hold of the book, Beauty in Battle, Winning in Marriage by Waging a War Against Whatever's Dividing You. Thank you. Great to have you both with us.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you.